Alright guys, is James Gunn's DCU in jeopardy? Who knows at this point in time? Who knows? There's lots of rumours circulating. Some of them actually perpetuated by James Gunn himself in a way, like exacerbated by his responses to certain questions here and there. So I thought we'd take a look. There's been, like I said, a whole bunch of rumours floating around. Warner Brothers, for instance, that is now actually for sale, right? That's been confirmed. It is for sale, which is crazy on one hand, not on the other. I mean, I did a video where I just said this will change the face of Hollywood, something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but it was just going through it and just saying, yeah, this will reshape Hollywood, because it will. You know, whoever buys Warner Brothers, much like what happened with Disney and Fox, it changes the landscape. It's another player off the board and amalgamated with another one. And I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope it doesn't do what Disney and 20th Century Fox did, where 20th Century Fox just kind of went away. You know, he wasn't really a key player anymore. They still produce films, obviously, for Disney, and they have actually been quite successful by comparison to main Disney. But I hope Warner Brothers doesn't go that way with whoever purchases it. I hope they just don't sort of fizzle out. That would be a shame. That would be a massive shame. Mainly because Warner Brothers has done a whole bunch of hits lately. They've been killing it with films, whereas Disney has just been killing it. Killing their films. So, on the topic of this one, it's of course to do with DCU, because whoever buys Warner Brothers will have control of DC if they buy it wholesale. The whole thing. Now, previously it was stated that James Gunn won't be going anywhere because his contract is safe from whoever buys it. But his contract is up like next year. It's up next year. That would be around the time the sale would go through, if it was to happen today, right? Like, there would have to be a whole bunch of approvals, antitrust laws, ensuring they don't get broken, loads and loads and loads of stuff. And so when that happens, that takes quite a while. And so by the time the deal would be secured, it could be a year. That would be the end of James Gunn's tenure. And so then what happens at DC? You know, is it another reboot? Whether you loved or hated Superman, constantly rebooting the universe, oh God, it's so tiresome. So tiresome. But it's a worthwhile conversation to have. James Gunn himself, the title here is a bit misleading. It says James Gunn questions his DCU future amid Warner Brothers Discovery sale scoop confirmed. It doesn't really confirm it, but it's worthwhile going into, because he had an interview, James Gunn, with a YouTuber, Boba Talks. And the Superman director hinted that while he has long-term plans for DCU, it may not be him leading them. I mean, that's interesting. Again, no matter whether you love or hate the whole DC situation. So Boba Talks asked him, how far do these arcs go? Like, do they culminate in Man of Tomorrow, or can we expect them to go further than that? And James Gunn said, cuts himself off, yes, they definitely go significantly further than Man of Tomorrow. Now, that's weird. That's weird. Does it mean if I stay, they go significantly further than Man of Tomorrow? Like, what does that mean? That's a weird thing to cut off, isn't it? If I stay? If I say so? Like, what? That's weird. It says, okay, so whether or not that'll be me, that's weird. Whether or not that'll be me, that's able to fulfill that promise, depends on a lot of things in life. But yeah, that's weird, isn't it? That looks like him saying, if I stay, yes, they definitely go further than Man of Tomorrow, if I stay. Which, if you would have followed up with this, okay, so whether or not that'll be me, that's able to fulfill that promise, depends on a lot of things in life. But yeah, that does sound like he's saying, if I stay. Odd. Actually, really, really odd. And now, James Gunn's DCU and Batman future is in limbo, ahead of Warner Brothers Discovery sale. Well, what's going on here then? So, this article writer says, it's my understanding that James Gunn's DCU is now on hold pending the sale of Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, I don't think that means everything that's obviously in the pipeline is on hold. I think that will obviously go ahead. That's money spent. And it even said that doesn't include projects already filmed, currently in production, or that already have release dates. But remember, a lot of the stuff doesn't have release dates. They announced a hell of a lot and subsequently haven't done a lot, which seems to be the way nowadays, trying to drum up investment, I would imagine. Gunn's Man of Tomorrow will film next year and release in 2027. Likewise, Supergirl has already been filmed and is set for 2026. The same for Clayface. Lanterns will debut on HBO Max in early 2026. And Gunn also has 2 animated series in the works, Creature Commando Season 2 and Mr. Miracle. However, if nothing else goes into production by 2026, everything will have to wait until whoever buys Warner Brothers Discovery decides what to do with DC. Now remember, James Gunn's deal would be up by then, his contract. So on hold includes DCU Batman, Wonder Woman, that's been fast-tracked, but there's no release date for that, so that's probably on hold. This individual was told that there were already people within Warner Brothers worried about what Gunn planned to do with Batman before the release of Peacemaker Season 2, but after how poorly Peacemaker performed, there's even more reason for concern. Batman is one of Warner Brothers' biggest IPs and DC's largest brand. It's probably their strongest brand, actually, as well. Gunn faced massive backlash for Peacemaker Season 2, which is true. I've done some videos on it, which he described as the sequel to Superman. The show lost nearly half of its audience. That is true. Objectively, the stats reveal that. And Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam even outperformed Superman on HBO Max over the same period, which is true. I've done videos of it. And Gunn has already said he won't be developing his DCU Batman whilst Matt Reeves films The Batman Part 2 in 2026. Now that means if a DCU Batman ever happens, production won't start until 2027. Now that matters because that's after Gunn's DCU contract expires in 2026. Do you see? So if they're for sale, whoever takes over will be at liberty to not re-up James Gunn's contract. Now, as per James Gunn, when he dealt with Henry Cavill, he said, well, we just didn't, he wasn't, he wasn't really employed with us. We just didn't, or Disney with Gina Carano, we just didn't continue their contract. We didn't fire him. He just won't be, his contract just won't be continued. It's like, right, okay. Andy Muschietti told Variety to wait a couple of months before talking about the DCU Batman. So that's all to do with the sale. Basically. Sounds like it anyway. So everything's delayed, shelved, pushed, all over the place. So it's interesting. And as they say here, the insider said Gunn has quietly pivoted away from his original plan towards a Superman family saga. There's little reason to build a broader universe when Warner Brothers Discovery itself is about to change hands, which makes sense. Because who knows what future owner is going to want to do with this. There you go. I mean, would they keep Gunn? Would they get rid of him? I think the likelihood is some people will, depends on who buys it. Some people will want to keep Gunn. Some people will just want to exit completely out of this. And they may even just want to sit on it for a while. But it also adds a lot of legitimacy to the previous reports, which was coming out on the lead up to Superman filming, which was they were building out as many characters as possible to develop a universe ready for sale, an attractive universe to be like, hey guys, this is what we got. It's like it's ready, so it's in the oven. It's oven baked, ready to go. Let's go, buy it. We can just continue it. Does make sense. I don't know whether it's true, but it makes sense theory wise anyway. So James Gunn, future is up in the air. What do you think? I know there were a lot of people championing this. A lot of people just groaning, going, God damn, another reboot. Thoughts down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.